In 1935, a Japanese admiral walked through Detroit's factories. What he saw there changed everything. He watched American workers build cars at incredible speed. Assembly lines moved like nothing he'd ever seen. Then he said something that shocked his own government. His warning was ignored. Years later, his words would prove terrifyingly accurate. But by then, it was already too late. The Visitor. In 1935, a high-ranking Japanese naval officer stepped off a train in Detroit, Michigan. His name was Admiral Yamamoto. He wasn't there on vacation. He was there to study American industry. Yamamoto had been sent by the Japanese government to learn about America's manufacturing power. They wanted to know how strong the United States really was. He visited the Ford Motor Company factories first. What he saw inside those massive buildings left him speechless. Thousands of workers moved in perfect coordination. Assembly lines stretched as far as the eye could see. Cars were being built at a speed no one in Japan had ever imagined possible. Yamamoto stood there watching. His face showed deep concern. He realized something that day, something that would haunt him for years to come. But first, he needed to see more. The assembly lines. Yamamoto walked through the Ford River Rouge complex. It was the largest factory in the world at that time. Raw materials went in one end, finished cars came out the other. Everything happened under one roof. Steel was made, glass was formed, engines were built. The admiral watched workers complete a car every 60 seconds. One complete automobile every single minute. He did the math in his head. That meant over 1,000 cars every day from just this one factory. Japan's entire industrial output couldn't match what he saw in a single building. But it wasn't just the speed that worried him. It was something else entirely. These same assembly lines could be converted. They could build something other than cars. They could build weapons, planes, tanks, ships. And they could build them faster than any nation on Earth. Yamamoto's concern grew deeper with each passing hour. The realization. The admiral visited other factories too. General Motors, Chrysler, steel mills, oil refineries. Everywhere he went, the story was the same. Massive scale, incredible efficiency, unlimited resources. America was producing more steel than Japan, Germany, and Italy combined. Yamamoto took detailed notes. He recorded numbers, capacity figures, production rates. But the numbers weren't what scared him most. It was the attitude of the American workers. They seemed completely unaware of their own power. These factory workers lived comfortable lives. They owned homes. They drove their own cars. They had no idea their country was an industrial giant. Yamamoto understood something the Americans themselves didn't realize. If this sleeping giant ever woke up, if America ever turned its full industrial might toward war, no nation on Earth could stand against it. He knew he had to warn his government, but would they listen? The warning. Yamamoto returned to Japan in late 1935. He immediately reported his findings to military leadership. He told them about Detroit's factories, about America's incredible industrial capacity. He warned them that war with America would be a terrible mistake. The Japanese military leaders listened politely, but they didn't truly understand. They believed in the spirit of the Japanese warrior. They thought determination could overcome material advantage. Yamamoto tried to explain. He used the numbers, the production figures, the evidence. I saw them build 1,000 cars in a single day, he said. Imagine if they built 1,000 planes instead. Some officers dismissed his concerns. He thought he was being too cautious. Others believed America was soft, comfortable, not willing to fight. Yamamoto knew better. He had seen the raw power with his own eyes. But his warning went largely ignored. Japan continued down a dangerous path, and Yamamoto could do nothing but watch. The famous quote. Years later, Yamamoto would say something that became famous. "I fear all we have done is awaken a sleeping giant." He reportedly said this after the attack on Pearl Harbor, but the truth is more complicated. Yamamoto had known this fact since 1935. Since his visit to Detroit, he had tried to prevent war with America. He argued against it in private meetings. He warned his colleagues repeatedly. But by 1941, the decision had already been made. Japan would attack. Yamamoto was ordered to plan the assault on Pearl Harbor. As commander of the combined fleet, he had no choice but to obey. So he planned the perfect surprise attack. But even as he did, he knew the terrible truth. Japan might win the first battle. They might destroy ships and planes at Pearl Harbor, but they couldn't destroy those factories in Detroit. And once America's industry turned toward war, the outcome was already decided. The prediction comes true. December 7, 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. The assault was devastatingly successful. Battleships sank, planes burned, thousands lost their lives. Japan celebrated a great victory. But Yamamoto did not celebrate. He knew what was coming next. President Roosevelt addressed Congress the next day. America declared war on Japan. And then, exactly as Yamamoto had predicted, something extraordinary happened. Those Detroit factories he had visited 6 years earlier, they stopped making cars overnight. Ford began building B-24 bombers. General Motors produced tanks and aircraft engines. Chrysler manufactured tanks and ammunition. The assembly lines Yamamoto had seen building automobiles. Now they built weapons of war. America produced more planes in 1943 than Japan built during the entire war. One American factory outproduced Japan's entire aircraft industry. The sleeping giant had awakened, and its industrial power was unstoppable. Everything Yamamoto had feared became reality. The scale of production. The numbers were almost unbelievable. During World War II, America built over 300,000 aircraft. Japan built about 76,000. America produced 88,000 tanks. Japan only produced 2,500. American shipyards launched a new warship every single day, sometimes multiple ships in one day. Henry Kaiser's shipyards built Liberty ships in just 42 days. One ship named Robert E. Peary was built in less than 5 days. This was the industrial power Yamamoto had witnessed in Detroit. Japanese military leadership had ignored his warning. They thought fighting spirit could overcome material disadvantage. They were wrong. By 1945, Japan's cities were destroyed. Its navy was at the bottom of the ocean. Its air force barely existed. American bombers flew over Japan without resistance. The industrial giant had crushed all opposition. Yamamoto didn't live to see the final outcome. He was eliminated in 1943 during an operation. But his prediction had been completely accurate. The lesson. Admiral Yamamoto's visit to Detroit taught him a crucial lesson. Industrial capacity wins modern wars. Not just courage, not just tactics. He saw America's true strength in those factories, and he tried desperately to prevent a conflict his nation couldn't win. But sometimes warnings go unheard. The Japanese military leadership believed in their own superiority. They underestimated what Yamamoto had clearly seen. One man's observation in a Detroit factory in 1935 predicted the outcome of a war 6 years before it started. History remembers Yamamoto as the architect of Pearl Harbor. But few remember he was also the man who tried to prevent the war entirely. His warning about awakening a sleeping giant wasn't just a poetic phrase. It was a literal description of what he witnessed in Detroit. Those assembly lines, those factories, that industrial power. He saw it all with his own eyes, and he knew exactly what it meant. His superiors learned the truth too late.